What up, y'all? It's me, it's GUAPO Jim, and today I'm gonna be giving you guys my thoughts on the second part of season 2 of the Invincible series. And I just kind of want to let you guys know what I think of the season so far as a whole. And yeah, let's get into it. Me again, I'm just doing some gatekeeping here. If you want to know my thoughts on part 1 of season 2, I'll link that video down below as well. But with all that being said, let's get into it, baby. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I think the show is great. Like, it's got all the action, it's got everything that I need. I read the comic book, so I'm not gonna say I'm the biggest Invincible fan, but I did read big parts of the comic book, and I've seen things, so it's I know how the series is supposed to go. I'm pretty versed in it. With those things being said, I'm kind of happy that Mark and Amber have finally broken up. Although I was starting to, I want to say, respect her a bit more, see her side of the character a bit more, and I definitely get where she's coming from. It's I'm not gonna lie, man, this show, it kind of, yeah, those parts, they kind of felt like teeny bopper, that, on some CW shit. And I wasn't always a big fan of it. So yeah, I'm glad that that's out of the way. Even Mark and Eve, again, I don't want to ruin too much. If you've read the comic, you know what's gonna happen. But even their whole thing, it's kind of just okay, just started already. We kind of know that that's where things are leading to. I don't know why they continue to just string us along as the audience. But again, that's not why I love this show. So that part of it, I'm always kind of just but hey, maybe there are a lot of teenagers that do watch the show and they do like those parts of it, but that ain't me, dog. This has been something that's been percolating all season, but the parallels between Mark and Nolan, to me, I love when they play those up, even just in terms of combos or those moments when you see them together and you see that father-son dynamic and they hate each other. Not even to say they hate each other, but it's the love, it's almost palpable. It's strange. And it's as much as Mark doesn't like his dad, there's still such a big part of him that wants to be like his dad. Again, minus the alien dictator part, And when you're able to see the different dimensions and you see what Mark does become in all of these different dimensions, and you see his potential, and it's you see what he would have been if he stayed with his dad and he thought more like Nolan. It's yeah, I don't know. It's really a cool glimpse into the character, I find. But I like that nerdy shit, This is just a nitpick from me. And again, this is just me speaking as a resident black man first. I want to see Bulletproof go in, dog. Again, knowing the comic book and knowing how powerful Bulletproof is and knowing what he eventually does, it's kind of damn, I feel we're not being served this character. If you really understand what he is in that universe, he's technically considered to be one of the most powerful humans on the planet. Mark is half Viltrumite, so he's obviously on another level. But it's in terms of humans, Bulletproof would be literally that nigga. He's one of the most powerful humans on this planet. And the fact that we never really get to see him in combat, it's yo, come on, man. But again, I know that it's coming. At least I hope that it's coming. But come on, I want to see Bulletproof go in, okay? I want to see him go in. That's me. I want to see Bulletproof go in. I won't lie. I'm also super loving Alan's transformation. The first part of season 2, again, when we see him get bodied by the Viltrumites, you're what's gonna happen? And then to see him come back now and to see that he, again, is one of the most powerful people in the universe, I'm yo, again, the nerd in me wishes that they show the prison scene, the prison breakout this season, but I understand that that's a pretty big action sequence and that can, take up a good part of season 3, so I get it in terms of production, but yeah, I'm really waiting to see what's going on with him and Nolan come season 3, you know? This is gonna sound like kind of a hot take, but again, it's just my own opinion. The final fight scene with Mark and Angstrom, it felt borderline underwhelming. Let me explain what I mean when I say that. Obviously, like how it ended, the culmination of it, sick. Like we knew that it was coming to that point. But I mean it underwhelming in the sense to say like the episode right before, we got one of the best fight scenes with Mark and Anissa, if you'd even call it a fight, because Mark just got bodied the whole fight. So to me at least, watching that fight scene and then seeing the final fight scene with Mark and Angstrom, yeah, it was kind of just like, yeah, it was sick again for the culmination, but for actually watching the fight itself, it was, yeah, like, again, wasn't it for me. And on a side note, again, this is just a me thing, why did Mark look way more damaged after the Angstrom fight than he did after the Anissa fight? Because I mean, in the Anissa fight, bro, as I said before, she bodied him, like she ate his food, and he literally came away from that one relatively unscathed. I mean, again, she's punching him through cruise ships and making craters in the ground. Like, he should have died that fight. Whereas the one with him and Angstrom, where Mark is clearly the stronger person in the fight, he came away from it looking like he'd just been in a fight, which makes, again, to me, no sense. I get that Angstrom got like a super upgrade, so his body was a bit stronger, but there's no way that it would have been the same as Viltrumite strong. Unless it just shows that Anissa wasn't giving full strength, in which case it's like, dog, like, you know, especially considering that we all know what's gonna happen next, it's like, dog, like, I was a big fan of all of the little jokes this season, just in terms, like the meta jokes, if you will, like in terms of them, like the Batman joke where he goes to a universe and he kind of makes fun of Batman, or the Spider-Man joke, which we obviously, again, as somebody who read the comic book knows, it was actually supposed to be Spider-Man that he was fighting with. But again, copyrights and Disney versus Amazon, again, we know how things go. But I thought that all that stuff was funny. Even the little joke that they said about production and why production takes so long, and I thought that was clever. Even the fact that it was, again, a callback to something that Kirkman actually did in the comic books, but he is known at times to speak through his characters. So again, I thought that was a clever little joke. Not only as a callback, but just on like an actual real life level. It's like, yo, like this shit takes time. Like it, you know, I'll never forget this. I had a friend in high school, and this guy would always hand in art class. You know who you are if you're watching this. And this guy, he would, an amazing artist, but he would always hand in his artwork late. And I wasn't even in the class, but I just heard these stories. And I remember one time the teacher came to him and she's like, yo, like, why are you always handing in these things late? And this guy, again, we would have been like 15, 16, and with the confidence of a grown man, looks her dead in the eyes and he goes, yo, miss, you can't rush art. And he sat back down and that was it. And he still continued to hand things in like late after that. And it was like, damn, like, as a man, I think about that sometimes. I'm just like, damn, like, that was some profound, when they talk about like wisdom from the mouths of babes. And now I'm just going on a tangent. Going back to what I'm saying before about this show, you can't rush art. And those little jokes about production and why things take so long, I thought that was funny. Back to Mr. Angstrom Levy. One thing that I will give this show in all respects is when it comes to the vocal talent that they pick, they do not miss. Like every single one of the main characters, they put so much emotion into their performances. And I'm saying that to say like Angstrom, like my man Sterling K, he killed that. Because with Angstrom, you felt it. You felt all of the different variants kind of fighting. I wouldn't even say for control, but like you could see the fact that like he, as the main Angstrom, is remembering all of the things that the other Angstroms have done, and it messes with him. And then even to conflict things even more is the fact that like the main Angstrom is a caring person, if you will, but he's just been damaged and, you know, messed up. But again, man, I think that he was shining. Personally, I think it was kind of strange. Not even strange, I won't say strange, but it's like he just left. He was there in the beginning, and then there's no mention of him the entire season, and then he comes back at the end for a bang. And it's cool because he banged hard, but at the same time, it's like, bro, you weren't there, dog. Like, you haven't earned that right to bang. You haven't earned the right to bang, bro. You know? To me, I think that Invincible shines just in the fact that we're watching this young man, in essence, grow into the man that he's supposed to be. Season 1, we get to see him come to terms with his abilities and, you know, come to terms with who his father really is. And it messed him up. Of course, rightfully so. Like, thousands of people died. Like, it sounds funny to talk about, but it's like season 1 really ended on an emotional high note. Like, it was like, or low note, I should say. And season 2, in many ways, is the same. Like, we watch him, again, see his father and reconcile with who his father is and come back with a piece of his father, quite literally, in his little brother. And we see his mom have to come to terms with that. We see Mark go to school and, you know, realize, hey, like I'm almost too big for school. I'm too talented for school, if that makes sense. I would only be stifled being there. You know, there's so many things that I have to do. And even just the idea that him and Amber, they break up because she, not to say she weighs on him, but it's like he can't be what she wants. Cause it's like he's got too many things that he's got going on, man. Like, one thing that I really like, and I'll give this show, all of the final fights or all of the major big fight scenes in this show, they're big emotional moments and they have big emotional stakes. You know, like obviously you've got Mark versus Omni-Man, you've got Mark versus Angstrom, you've got Mark versus even Anissa to a degree, and you know, they all mean something really big. But as a whole, I'm a big fan of this show, I can't lie. This one is gonna sound really strange, but I love Cecil, I should say. Like, even with all of his fuckery and his incompetence, there's just something about him. There's something like, I could see why people follow him. Even though a lot of times it's like he's not really legit at what he does. He pretends that he is, but it's like he's not legit at it at all. And I appreciated Donald this season as well. As we kind of see what's coming to terms with Donald, and it's like we see that he literally died and he came back to life. And then we realize like, yo, like this is something that you've been doing. And you kind of think to yourself, did he really choose to do it? Or, you know, like but kind of seeing his ordeal and what he's going through, I thought that was really sad and dark, but it was also beautifully poignant. Again, I love shit like that, but yeah, like it made me care about Donald. That's the best way that I can put it. I didn't care about him before, and then seeing everything that he'd been through, it's like, yeah, you do care about him. Because it's like you almost kind of forget that he died in season 1. But it's like, no, like Donald's been through it, yo. Like Donald's real. Maybe this is just a me thing, and maybe it's because they have to speed through things so quick, but I think it would be really cool to talk more about Mark's other villains. Again, last season, it felt a bit more villain of the week, which is usually the case anytime that you've got like a superhero show in its infancy. Like you're trying to throw out as many villains, just have them fight different people. And then usually second season, it's a bit more like you kind of begin to see who his real enemy is. And this season, at least to me, it felt very like Viltrumite focused. I get that that was the point, but you know, Viltrumite with a sprinkle of Angstrom right at the end. And while I did appreciate those guys as villains, I do like seeing him as an Invincible interacts with other people. Like, that's something that I like. At least that way he feels a bit more like a superhero in that regard. Again, I'm partial to that stuff, and I'll fight anybody who thinks otherwise. Overall, this season, I feel like Invincible, it had way more of an emotional weight to it, if that makes sense. The first season was obviously very emotional, but it didn't really feel that way until the very end, you know? Whereas this season, it had a kind of simmering tension to it the whole time. Like, you kind of knew like things were gonna get fucked, and then towards the end, it's like it all just kind of imploded. And I know that that's what they were going for, especially like in terms of what Mark has been going through. But yeah, like I really did enjoy it. I'm super excited for season 3. Season 3 is probably gonna take forever, as it always does. If you'd like to give this show a watch, you can find it today on Amazon Prime. And you know, again guys, streets have been talking. I just wanted to let you guys know what I think, and I wanted to give you guys a real GUAPO review. Thank you, thank you, thank you if you've made it this far. If you're a fan of this type of content, I'll need you to like, subscribe, and comment down below on which other shows you guys think that I should watch or give a chance to, or just write down anything, as long as it's not curse words. I'm kidding. But honestly, like, thank you guys, and stay safe. Later days.